If you listen to the stories of successful people or read their books, you will quickly notice they have always faced mockery. When they announce they will take on a challenge, people scoff and ask, will that even work? When they say, success comes from maintaining a grateful heart, people gasp and say, is that all it takes? They demand you should only be grateful if there is a reason to be. Are these successful people just arrogant fools or spreading empty talk? They receive all kinds of ridicule. However, this ridicule is precisely the dividing point. It is where the path to success and failure splits. The values that poor people laugh at and scorn, the successful people held on to those values until the very end. That is how they achieved their wealth. In today's video, we will discuss 3 secrets of the wealthy. These are the principles the poor ridicule, but the rich swear by. First, the rich value small amounts of money. When we say every penny counts and great things grow from small beginnings, poor people laugh. They argue pennies are just pennies. They dismiss it as ridiculous nonsense. Or they mock. They ask, how can a wealthy person who has everything be convincing when they tell us to save a few pennies? But truly wealthy people value small amounts of money. They know this truth. Ignore the small money and you will never see the big money. This is absolutely true. You can easily grasp this if you imagine yourself as a business CEO. There are some CEOs who force employees to use scrap paper to save on office sheets. They constantly badger you about saving every little bit of supply. From an employee's perspective, it is natural to wonder, why is the boss so cheap when they have so much money? While such extreme frugality may not always be ideal, let us consider the CEO's perspective. The reason CEOs make such a fuss is because of multiplication. Have you heard of the PER ratio? It is a concept used in the stock market to determine a company's valuation. A company's market capitalization is calculated by multiplying its annual profit by the PER. A PER of 10 means the company's value is 10 times its annual profit. The costs we dismiss as small change are usually consumables. These include paper pens and office snacks. They also cover fixed operating costs like rent. From a CEO's standpoint, a $100 increase in monthly expenses is not just $100. Since a year has 12 months, that is a $1,200 increase in annual expenses. This means the company's annual profit has decreased by $1,200. Is that where it ends? No, it is not. Remember the PER of 10? That $1,200 reduction in profit is multiplied by 10. The company's total valuation has dropped by $12,000. That is why CEOs go to great lengths and make a fuss to reduce costs. If employees ask to replace the instant coffee with an expensive espresso machine, it is actually more beneficial to the company's value for the CEO to buy everyone an occasional high-end coffee. Even the cool CEOs who pay for big dinners and generous gifts, they are still obsessed with cutting fixed costs for this exact reason. You might be thinking, really? But is that the CEO's problem? I am just an employee. You should not think this way. The multiplication principle applies to you as well. The money you carelessly spend could have been invested. That investment would have generated potential returns. Let me illustrate with an example. Suppose you buy a coffee at a nice cafe every day. We will set the price at $4. Now let us assume the instant coffee in your break room is 20 cents. The difference is $3.80. You might think $3.80 a day is a small price to pay for yourself. You might wonder, what kind of difference can that money make? But if you only buy coffee 5 days a week, that is $19 a week. It adds up to $76 a month and $912 a year. Saving the cost of one coffee a day for 10 years accumulates to over $9,000. But that is not the end of the story. I mentioned potential returns. The long-term average return of the SP 500 index is about 11%. Even if we calculate with a more conservative 8% return, saving just that one coffee a day can grow to $15,000. Do you think $15,000 is not enough to change your life? Do you feel you should just enjoy your coffee? We calculated this based on just one cup of coffee. What if you start saving on transportation? What if you cut back on clothes or unnecessary trips? Will the amount not grow much larger? If we save little by little, the potential returns multiply. Just as the PER multiply the company's profit, your savings can make an enormous difference. Another way the poor disregard small money is through impatience. I mentioned an 8% return earlier, but the poor chase huge returns of 100 or 200%. They ask, why bother earning so little? They want to get rich fast, but they lack capital. So they try to achieve sky-high returns. Can you really get rich this way? Did Warren Buffett, the investment legend, get rich from insane returns? The book, The Psychology of Money, states this. Warren Buffett is a phenomenal investor, but attributing his success solely to investment genius misses the key point. The real secret to his success is that he was a phenomenal investor for 75 years. Warren Buffett's average annual return over 58 years is around 20%. Poor people scoff. They ask, he is the world's best investor. So shouldn't he be making 2, 3, or 10 times that amount? They dismiss small returns. But the rich do not ignore small returns. They know from experience that 20%, like Warren Buffett's, is not a small return. They understand that sustaining a small return over a long period is more important than achieving a high return for just a year or two. The rich value small money. They know that small fixed costs erode a business's value. They know that consistency in small returns is crucial. Conversely, the poor think, what is the big deal about a few extra dollars a month? They think, what is the point of a single-digit return? They ignore the power of small numbers. Do you want to be rich? You must value small money and small returns. Second, the rich calculate opportunity costs. Poor people ignore opportunity costs. In many cases, they do not even understand the concept of opportunity cost. Opportunity cost is always present whenever we choose to act or not to act. Let us say you are going on a vacation that costs $1,000. Your trip is not just $1,000. The opportunity cost includes the time you must spend to earn that $1,000 back. It is the money you could have earned during your time off. It is the potential return you could have earned if you had invested the money instead of traveling. If you add it all up, the total cost is incalculable. If you had invested that $1,000 in real estate instead of traveling, who knows how much that asset could appreciate in the future? It could be tens of thousands of dollars. I am not telling you not to travel. Travel brings the value of seeing the world, learning new things, and getting necessary rest. But the rich know that opportunity cost exists. They calculate it. They only travel when they calculate that the value gained from the trip is greater than the opportunity cost. Poor people, on the other hand, fail to consider the mere existence of opportunity cost. This failure leads to a common phenomenon. People stand in line for hours or days just to get a discount or be the first to buy an item. I often visit the grocery store, and sometimes they run limited time sales. When they do, lines of people immediately form. They might save 10 cents per pound or 20 cents on a can. The discount is real, but people only focus on the money they save. They fail to consider the value of the time they spend waiting in line. The book Leverage presents a formula for calculating the value of your income-generating time. It means you calculate the value of your time per hour by dividing your weekly earnings by your weekly working hours. Suppose you earn $4,000 a month or $1,000 a week, and you work 50 hours a week. Your time is worth $20 per hour. If this person waits in line at the store for 30 minutes for a discount, they have already thrown away $10 worth of their time. Unless they save more than $10, they are losing money on the deal. The same applies to spending hours searching every online retailer just to save a few cents. The effort to save money is not meaningless. You must just know whether the savings are worth the cost, even after factoring in your opportunity costs. The rich calculate opportunity cost. The poor either do not know the concept of opportunity cost, or they think, why bother? Calculating something so complicated, they simply ignore it. This difference is also very clear in decision-making. Successful and wealthy people do not spend much time agonizing over decisions. This is because hesitation creates time-based opportunity costs. Conversely, the poor agonize over every little decision for days or weeks. In the book CEO's Theory of Management, Chairman Kim Sung-ho states this: successful people are notable for the speed of their decisions, not just the direction. They do not spend much time contemplating if the decision is right or wrong. Overthinking actually harms business. Most hesitation is elegantly packaged as careful consideration, but when you unwrap it, all that is left is the debris of wasted time. The more time you spend agonizing, the more opportunity cost accrues. This is the true meaning of time as money. Opportunity cost is not only generated when you do something, it also exists when you hesitate and put things off. Therefore, calculate your opportunity cost. You must figure out the value of the time and money you are wasting right now. You must calculate how that could translate into future results. The person who can calculate opportunity cost is the one who ultimately becomes rich. Third, the rich set ambitious goals. The rich set incredibly high goals even if many people laugh at them. The book The Millionaire Secret states this: the scale of your achievement is determined by the size of your thoughts. Therefore, you should dream as ambitiously and as big as possible. To become a great person, you must not only think big, you must also never be satisfied with your current level of progress. The rich set ambitious goals. These goals are often so ambitious that they are ridiculed not only by the poor, but sometimes by their own families. Yet the rich do not care. They stick to their grand goals regardless. Why is that? Because setting realistic goals changes nothing. In Bodo Schaefer's book, The Winning Habit, he says this: don't you need unrealistic goals and plans to change the reality you are currently in? Your life will not change much without a fundamental breakthrough in your reality. He says you must adjust your life to fit your goals. Otherwise, you will become like a pumpkin in a glass jar. If you only yearn for $1, life will give you exactly $1. If you are dissatisfied with your reality and set realistic goals, even if you achieve them all, you will be left with the same dissatisfying reality. We set goals because we want to improve and change. What happens if you make those goals realistic? They say if you put a pumpkin in a glass jar, the pumpkin only grows to the size of the jar. A flea, if left alone, can jump up to 200 times its own height. But if you confine a flea inside a 4-inch paper cup, it will only jump to the height of the cup. If left alone, the pumpkin would grow huge. The flea would jump 200 times its height. So you must not set realistic goals. You must set big goals without setting any limits. You must set a huge goal. Then you must adjust your reality to fit that goal. You become rich and achieve your goals only when you set a massive goal that seems impossible right now. Then you start acting as if you have already achieved it. This might make you wonder about something else. Many self-development books emphasize small goals. They often say you must set small goals to build small successes. But I just told you to set ambitious goals. Which path is truly right? Both are correct. I always emphasize this. A big goal is your compass. Even if there is a pitfall ahead and you must turn back, you will eventually arrive at the north if you follow the compass. A small goal is your navigation system. It tells you exactly how to detour when the road right in front of you is blocked. Success requires both types of goals. Ultimately, you must follow the compass, but the small steps along the way must be guided by the navigation system. So first, set an ambitious goal. Define your ultimate destination. Successful people are the ones who set unrealistic goals. They ignored the people who laughed at those goals. Defining a direction and then taking one step at a time toward that goal with a realistic plan. That is the principle that created the wealthy. How is today's content? The rich are always the ones who receive ridicule from the poor. They are the people who embrace that mockery and eventually built their wealth. Cherish small amounts of money. Calculate opportunity cost. And set a grand goal. Everyone who watched this video to the end, you are all people who long for success and financial freedom. The path will not be easy. You will stumble often, and you will face ridicule many times. But when others mock, you remember this one thing. The very reasons they ridicule you, those are the reasons you will become rich. I sincerely cheer for your growth through this video today. Thank you.